Welcome back. President Trump confirming that Special Envoy Steve Witkoff will meet with Iran's foreign minister on Friday to begin new talks on a new nuclear deal. Both sides reportedly hopeful on coming to an agreement without the use of military force. President Trump sending a, quote, armada of military assets to the Middle East, now within striking distance of Iran. And new satellite imagery reveals some activity at multiple Iranian nuclear facilities, which were destroyed by the United States and Israel last year. Nuclear sites seen covered by roofs as Iranian officials assess the damage. Joining me now live from Dubai this morning is the former Secretary of State and Fox News contributor, Secretary Mike Pompeo. Secretary, great to have you back. Welcome. Good to see you.
Great to be with you, Maria.
What are your thoughts? And there you are in Dubai this morning. I wonder what the sentiment is in the Middle East about these new tensions between the United States and Iran. What would be your assessment and expectation of the path forward?
Maria, look, the sentiment here, of course, is everyone's hoping for Iran to make the right decision. A decision that would say we're no longer going to be the world's largest state sponsor of terror. We're no longer going to try to build out our nuclear program. And we're going to stop calling Israel the little Satan and the United States the great Satan and threatening to destroy us all. I think for most folks here, they understand that any deal that the Iranians might strike is something they'll do what they've always done. They'll lie, they'll cheat, they won't honor that commitment. And I'm confident President Trump is not naive enough to head down the same path that President Obama did, right? He called it the stupidest deal in history, if I remember correctly. To get an actual agreement from the Iranians would require a complex set of verifications to allow us to go in and see what's really going on. The destruction of their ballistic missile program. I suspect that's a bridge too far for the Iranian regime, and so I think President Trump will likely have to make good on his promise, which he said, help is on the way. And I'm convinced that the Iranian people will provide help for the United States in helping overthrow this regime.
Well, so that's what you want to see. You want to see the regime overthrown.
In the end, Maria, I don't think this regime is fixable. I've not seen the Ayatollah prepared to actually do what we need to keep Americans safe. I don't see any reason to think he's changed his ways. He's pretty committed to this, has been for an awfully long time. I hope I'm wrong. I hope there's a solution here that's short of war. But my view is, in the end, the Iranian people understand that their economy has been destroyed, their military is useless, and it is time for a new regime to come lead that country forward.
Secretary, I want to switch gears and ask you about the dispute between the U.S. and the U.K. over Diego Garcia and the Chagos Islands. Of course, the deal between the U.K. and Mauritius to sell those islands to Mauritius was confirmed last year. But President Trump said that is a really stupid idea for the U.K. to be selling these islands. Your reaction, and where do you think this stands?
President Trump's spot on here. This is one of the dumbest geostrategic mistakes that the United Kingdom could possibly make. They will put enormous risk, the ability to power project, not only for us, but for NATO forces in the region. I hope that the British people will stand up and demand that Keir Starmer revisit this. We have to make sure that that capacity, the ability for us to operate in and out of that place, maintains not only for 10 or 15 years, but as long as it takes for us to protect ourselves from threats all across the globe, including the threat from the Chinese Communist Party.
And, of course, we've got very serious and important military assets there. The Maldives are trying to get involved here. The head of Maldives is explaining that Trump should consider the Maldives as part of this arrangement. Your thoughts there?
Look, if we can find an alternative solution, I think that's fantastic. My recollection from my time in government service was that Diego Garcia is very special. It's unique. There's already been a ton of investment there. But if there's another location from which we could operate and maintain our continued capacity to project power, I think that'd be a fine outcome, a fine solution. I think we're an awfully long ways away from that, Maria.
Well, of course, these are national security concerns over the Indian Ocean, and we recognize that, so we wanted to keep a close eye on that. Meanwhile, the president has been doing everything he can to ensure that the U.S. is independent. He just launched a $12 billion critical mineral stockpile to reduce reliance on China, as the president is warning that the U.S. would respond very substantially if Canada pursues a trade deal with Beijing. He's cautioning the United Kingdom that doing business in China could be very dangerous. Secretary, we have spoken about this issue, and you have been among the foremost experts on China for a decade plus. What are your thoughts on China's moves to infiltrate all of these economies, whether it be Canada, throughout countries in Africa, and try to get a leg up on the United States?
Maria, this has been a project the Chinese have been at, the Chinese Communist Party has been at for a long time. It's taken a while for America to wake up to this risk as well. We tried in the first Trump administration, and they're continuing to try to tell other nations, you just can't go down this path. You know, frankly, Maria, it reminds me of what the Germans did with energy in Russia, right? They became dependent on Russia, and we end up with a massive conflict in Europe. In the same way, Canada, the United Kingdom, if they become reliant on China, if they strike trade deals with the Chinese Communist Party, they too run the risk that they'll be connected with them at the hip. And when it comes time, when the Chinese Communist Party actually comes for them, they won't be in a position to do anything about it. President Trump is absolutely right to warn these nations about the risk of having deep and long-lasting trade relationships that put them in a place of dependency on China.
Yeah, and I'll repeat what John Ratcliffe has told me for many years. When you get in bed with China, China has one goal, and that is rob, replicate, replace. And I know you see it that way as well. Secretary, it's always a pleasure. A shortened interview. I hope you'll come back soon for more. Thank you, sir.
I'll do that.
All right,
Thank you, Maria. Have a great day.
And to you, Secretary Mike Pompeo. We'll be right back with the chairman of the CFTC.